In our language and literature class, we had focused on studying language and taboo, and today for my FOA I've decided I'll be analyzing the song Juicy by the Notorious B.I.G. Just to give some background information about the song, Juicy was the first single by the Notorious B.I.G. from his album Ready to Die, which was released in 1994. It was produced by the Poke of Trackmasters and Scene Puffy Combs, and at the chorus section of the song, it was sung by the girl group Total. The song itself is considered one of the greatest hip-hop songs of all time, due to the song's content of rags to riches, and which details the Notorious B.I.G.'s childhood years in poverty, his want to become a rapper, and his early musical influences, his time dealing drugs and being involved in crime, and then his eventual rise to success in the music business, and the lavish lifestyle he lived in. To give some context about the Notorious B.I.G., or also known as Biggie Smalls, he was one of the greatest rappers that had ever lived, and he was known for his usage of innovative and multi-syllabic lyricisms in his songs, as will be explored later, but unfortunately Notorious B.I.G. was murdered in 1997 in Los Angeles by a drive-by shooter. Yet his raps are still one of the greatest rap songs ever created in the history. In the case of the song Juicy, the Notorious B.I.G. raps about his life of crime in his younger years due to the poverty that he faced, and shows that the expectation of society during 1994 was that legal is good, illegal is bad, and the life of crime or illegal acts will not get you anywhere, and legal is the only way for a bright future, which, if you look at it in the society that we live in now, is quite similar, and not quite similar, but it's the same. But then it also ties into the taboo of drugs, in which the Notorious B.I.G. talks about his life selling drugs, and that the societal view of drugs is that it is the societal view he tried to explain is that drugs is bad, and simply put, it will not get you anywhere in life. The Notorious B.I.G. also talks about the American dream, and especially about how it influenced and affected his life at a very early age. Biggie Smalls was said before that he was stuck in poverty, and he specifically mentioned how his life was like in the song Juicy, which is seen by the quotes, hanging pictures of salt and pepper, Papa, and Heavy D on his wall, smoking weed and bamboo, slipping on private stock, eat sardines for dinner, get dissed by girls, dropped out of high school. Those are a couple of lines taken straight from his song Juicy, which specifically describe how his life was like before he had started his career in rap, or his rags part. Rags state, I should say. Though after he'd become a rapper, he moved from a life of poverty to a life of lavishness and luxury, which he also specifically tells the audience about in his songs, as it is said, "Now they write letters to me because they miss me. Interviews by the pool, money green leather sofa, got 2 rides in limousine with a chauffeur, phone bill about 2 G's, celebrate every day, living a life without fear." You can look at the difference between the many quotes that I just said to you. You can clearly see the major difference in his life before and after he had started a life in rap, and shows that he went from a life of illegal acts to a life of legal, which was now which is what society expected of him, or was what societal expectations were. Biggie Smalls specifically focused on a younger populace with his audience in his songs, and he wanted his audience to be mainly directed towards people that he had a relatable life story to, and yet he also had a dual audience, which means that his songs referred to both the poor African American community and the much richer Americans at the top, which generally consisted of white males, or just white. The main purpose that Biggie Smalls tried to convey in the song is that one needs to make money, let's just simply say, tell stories and prove that the status quo is wrong, which is pretty much the misunderstanding of people and the cultures that live in. And to send out and another purpose was that he wanted to send out a message of how people in the hood are struggling while also showing off his own skills. As he had said before, in the quote not that's going to be shown now, "You know what I'm saying, it's all good, baby, baby." The theme that Biggie Smalls tried to convey was social discrimination, doubt, and prejudice, and that the African American populace was treated in America. As he had said, stereotypes of black males misunderstood, which is another direct quote from the song Juicy, and also about how people doubted him and once again considered a fool because I dropped out of high school. As like said in the quote, he also dropped out of high school to continue his passion of music and to further pursue his career in rap. One unique thing about Biggie Smalls was his usage of diction in his song Juicy, or in all of his songs, honestly. His usage of diction was used on purpose so that he would show people that even though Now he was living a lavish lifestyle and was rich. He still hadn't forgotten about his past and the poverty that he had lived through, and still about the memories that he had had. He had used informal dialects such as hood, for instance, which signified that he was using gangster dialect, which then further reinforced by the usage of blowing and the shortening of words such as living and etc. His specific usage of informal diction allowed him to create a rhyme scheme, which with sound devices to create an atmosphere, which was seen as comforting towards the African American community, and further enforced the idea that he still hasn't forgotten his background, which was really important to him. And even though he was rich now, he still had not forgotten his black roots. Biggie Smalls had used a lot of sound devices in his songs, in his song Juicy, which fits in perfect harmony with the heavy bass and drum kits he had used in his songs. Biggie Smalls specifically focused on the beat so that the beat could stick out and used different instruments to boost the bass and make the beat of the song stick out. He also had used a lot of alliteration, assonance, consonants, and sibilants in Juicy, which all had a different purpose in his rap, but mainly were used to enforce a point. Biggie Small had used sibilants in his song to draw the audience's attention, so that they can focus on a specific part of the song and to emphasize those points. For example, girls used to diss me, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, when I was dead broke, man, I couldn't picture this. Sibilants is the alliteration of soft consonants that creates a sound such as a hissing noise, or which is made by the usage of the letters, or the combination of letters as, s, or the SH, Z, TH, F, and even the soft C. The use of sibilants allows or helped Biggie Smalls by creating a tone and an attitude towards the message that he was trying to convey, which further allowed him to convey his message. Another sound device that Biggie Small had used a lot was consonants. The usage of consonants allowed him to give sudden transitions and abruptly ended his words, such as black lumberjack. The CK sounded black, and lumberjack is what I refer to in this quote as the consonants. As you can see, the use of consonants allows him to further enhance the rhyme and beat that he already has. Lastly, Biggie Smalls had used a lot of alliteration in his rap song Juicy. The usage of alliteration allowed him to produce a sense of pace and emphasis towards the flow of the song. And similar to sibilants, it allowed him to specifically emphasize some parts of his song or some parts of the lines and the verses. And one of the most common lines in which alliteration is used is the ha part, and which in specific part is the repetition of the consonant D. And the use of alliteration can also be seen in the major lines, which makes it stick out so easily. But Biggie Smalls didn't just use alliteration, sibilants, and consonants once in his rap. He had used it throughout the entirety of the song. As another example of alliteration, I made the change from a common thief shows that his usage of the quotes I said before shows that his usage of language allowed him to enhance his beat and the rhyme that he had for his song to create works of magic, which he's still known as one of the greatest rappers that had ever lived. For the rhyme scheme of the song, the Notorious B.I.G had used the basic AABB rhyme scheme in the song Juicy, as it can be seen from I never thought it could happen, this rapping stuff, I was used to packing, get gats and stuff. Now honeys play me close like butter plague roast, from the Mississippi down to the East Coast. Biggie Smalls uses rhyme scheme to make transitions between his verses and hooks, and also allowed him to transition between the lines. As can be seen from the rhyming of the stuff and stuff with the toast and coast, this creates the iconic AABB rhyme scheme, which everyone knows by now. Possibly the most important part about Biggie Smalls' song Juicy, though, was the atmosphere that it created. Compared to other rap songs of his time, Juicy was rather comforting, as you may say, which was done by him saying such things as "it's all good," and from his use of sibilants and the rhyme scheme, which was described above. This atmosphere that he created in his songs, I should say, allowed him to create a sense of unity between the African American community and the audience that he was directing towards, and made them feel that they weren't truly alone in their struggle. And that he before had gone through the pain that they are living through right now, and that they should, and was a sense of encouraging the people to keep on holding out and not to give up. Thank you for listening, and this was my FOA.